Alright, I've got a confession. I was on Warhammer.com earlier looking at Thousand Suns. Yes, I know. Infinite projects, infinite armies, never finish any of them, and the ones I do finish, it takes 3.5 to 4 years, as we can see from the line of tanks at the top. I mean, it's not even finished. There's more over there. It's just never going to happen. But Space Marine 2 is upon us, and I've been playing it a fair bit. I've been really enjoying it. I'm going through the story mode again with friends, like multiple times, and the main thing that I've got out of it is not that I want to start playing Ultramarines, although I have painted Ultramarines in the past, so I'm going to count that, or that I want to play Tyranids. No, I've mostly just been really taken with the Thousand Suns, which I like anyway. Thousand Suns look fantastic. They've always looked fantastic. They also look like an absolute nightmare to paint, and the chances of me finishing a single squad before getting frustrated and upset is very small. But, you know, resilience is a key thing that you should learn, so I would just power through, and it would take me 5 years to finish an army. That's about as long as it takes now anyway. So, is that a mark against starting Thousand Suns? Probably not. Which is probably just as well, because I may have already bought something. Anyway, I was looking at Warhammer.com, and it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking, have Games Workshop capitalised? Have they done a cool tie-in tabletop thing alongside Space Marine? Now, the answer is technically yes, because you can get a Titus miniature, but it's from the Space Marine board game, which is only available in Target in the US, which is not exactly the global approach, right? Plus, it was a while ago. I forget how long ago that was announced or how long ago that became a thing, when they started distributing it. I actually don't remember. I vaguely remember seeing something about it, but it was quite a bit before Space Marine 2 came out. Now, it could be that it was initially supposed to be a proper tie-in, wherein, you know, the game was on the shelves, the other game was on the other shelves, and it would work like that. But Space Marine 2 was delayed a bit. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was. All I know is there is a glaring hole in the lineup available from Warhammer.com specifically related to Space Marine 2. The game has sold over 2 million copies. People are loving it. They're all over it. Even those of us who just didn't really care for the story all that much are still playing it and still think it's really fun. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? I keep saying it's really fun, and I always have a smile on my face when I'm playing it, and I really like it, and it's super enjoyable. I like it, okay? I like it. I said I liked it. I'm just not fussed about the story. That doesn't mean I don't like it. But what I really want to know is, when we look at, say, the Combat Patrol section on the website, there's something missing for me. Right here. Right here on this page, there's something missing. Because if ever there was a time to put together another Combat Patrol, yeah, I know, another Combat Patrol, we've got enough Space Marine Combat Patrols, but surely this is the one that warranted doing something that normally would be seen as, oh good, more Space Marines. But this is the time. This is the time for more Space Marines. You want to introduce more Space Marines? Now. Now is when you do it. There's nothing on here that really properly resembles what you see in the game. Yes, we do have some Space Wolf stuff, but they're not Ultramarines. They're not painted as Ultramarines. It's a Redemptor that you come across, a couple of them, I think, in the game. And so, you know, the weird walker that Space Marines shouldn't really have anyway, that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it for people, right? They're not going to see that and go, those are the guys from the game. Same thing with the Black Templars. They look cool, don't get me wrong. They look fantastic. They're not the guys that you see in the game. And it applies to Dark Angels as well. They're cool. They are really cool. They're a little bit closer, but they're the wrong colour. And you know what? You're going to sit there and go, it doesn't matter what colour they are, you can paint them whatever colour you like. I'm thinking less about the returning hobbyist. I'm thinking less about the person who picked up Space Marine 2 because they already played Warhammer. I'm talking all the people who have no idea what Warhammer is, who just don't know anything about 40k, who have no clue. They picked up Space Marine 2 because it's a video game and it looks cool. And they've gone, what the hell is this universe? What is happening? Why is there a cherub with wings and cybernetic enhancement lighting a candle in the corner? What is this? This is awful. Like, those people, the people who have not come across this universe before, who are interested, who now want to take a look at what the rest of it is, what it offers, what you can do with that universe, especially on the tabletop. Like Space Marine 2, gateway drug, right? Gateway drug. presents the universe super well, captures the scale, the grandiosity. There's a good variety of enemies, and there's a good variety of stuff that you can play yourself. We're perfectly set up for people to want to know more about intercessors and aggressors and reavers, and you've got Blade Guard in there. Admittedly, yeah, they haven't got the names, but they are recognisable. You'll be able to see them straight off the bat, which is why it's a real shame that for the first time I kind of wanted them to do another combat patrol to really get people in. See, right now you've got a combat patrol Space Marines, but it's led by a Terminator, and you don't come across Terminators in Space Marine 2. There's also a Librarian Terminator. You don't see that in Space Marine 2. There's normal Terminators. You don't see that in Space Marine 2. There's a bunch of Pyroblasters, whatever they're called. You kind of do get to use that gun, but you use it to try and get Rippers to stop eating your face, which, again, is fine, but it's like, it's one little bit. What we don't have, what is totally lacking on the front page of Warhammer.com, and what is totally lacking in the Combat Patrol section, in the Start Here section, in the bit that you are directed to go to if you go to this website having played Space Marine 2, what you're lacking is just a little box of all the dudes you recognise from that game you just played. And yes, there are already more Space Marine Combat Patrols than we might need. Yes, it is repetitive seeing Space Marines everywhere, but this was the time. This was the time, right? This was the point at which you could do something super targeted. You could put some normal intercessors, some heavy intercessors, and a good-looking captain in there, and you would be absolutely set. Better yet, take the Titus model and put him in the box. The Thousand Suns one is a little bit better. You do see Terminators in the game, and you also see a hell of a lot of Zangors. So many Zangors. There's so many Zangors. Luckily, it's incredibly fun murdering them. Also, Traitor Guard, or just general human traitors. Love how many of those there are. When we get in, yeah, we'll talk about Traitor Guard again some other time. The fact is, this is actually not too bad. This is, is recognisable. It contains the stuff that you see in the thing, but of course there's no just regular Rubric Marines in it, which is, I mean, to be fair, something that I would have liked in this box anyway. A combat patrol for Thousand Suns without Rubric Marines and just Terminators just feels wrong. I'm sorry, it just does. Now, when it comes to your fresh Tyranid player, I feel like actually this one is pretty good. This one's pretty good. Your various gaunts are super recognisable. The Prime technically might not be in the game, but there's big swarms of winged things that are Tyranids that people are going to recognise. And you also get, slapped around by a lictor a couple of times. And yeah, I know that those are technically Von Ryan's Leapers, but whatever, they look very, very similar, right? They're going to trigger that part of the brain where it goes, I got murdered by one of them 4 times in a row. Obviously, this sort of thing is super difficult to coordinate. It requires a lot of planning in advance, and it requires a lot of work behind the scenes to make things all line up and to make it worth doing. But that's what I would have done, right? If I was in charge, which thank God I'm not, but I would have had Titus front and centre. I would have had some sort of box dedicated to the game that properly showed off all the stuff that you see. At least the things that are super recognisable, the stuff that you have close contact with, the stuff that is right there in your face when you're playing Space Marine 2. That's what I would have done. What would you have done? Like, when it comes to capitalising on this, you are in control of Games Workshop. You're in control of the website, in control of, what boxes get made, etc., etc. You're given the task, right? The task of how do we market the tabletop to the people playing Space Marine 2, the people who are just learning about 40k, who are super curious, who now have, a bunch of recognisable stuff that they see regularly and you know that they would pick up on. What do you do? Because I'm super interested to know if I'm the only one who is but the actual board game was a little while ago and this was a perfect chance to kind of really get stuff out there and encourage people in. So I hand it over to you. What would you do in this particular situation, which is now kind of sort of over? I mean, the game's come out, it's doing super well, which is awesome, but there's not really a huge amount of time to suddenly pivot into here's Titus in his own box outside of the Target exclusive. But it would have been good. So, yeah. Over to you.